Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be doing a cute smoky eye, but before we get straight into the video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with a friend. Everything that I use will be in the description box down below. Okay, so I already did my brows off camera, and I'm just adding on some moisturizer before moving in to some primer. This primer is the Milk Hydro Grip, and I love this primer because it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's help that product grip to your skin, and it helps it last a little longer, in my opinion. And you want to make sure that you blend this all the way out. Let it sit for a few seconds before adding on anything else. Now I'm going in with a matte primer, and I'm only using this primer in my T-zone area, and I'm going to blend that out really well. And I like using a matte primer, especially on my nose, because that's where I get the oiliest. I can avoid using it anywhere else, honestly. That's just what I choose to do. Now with this concealer, this is a clear and blemish concealer, and as you can see, I have a lot of hyperpigmentation and dark spots on my face, and those are from breakouts that I pick with. So I'm just going to use a bit of this and cover those up, and then blend it out with my finger before going in with a makeup wedge. Now for the foundation, I'm going in with one that I haven't used in a while, and this is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I'm in the shade Chai, or used to be. I put some on the back of my hand and just added small dots onto my face before blending it out. This foundation is, I believe, to be a matte foundation. Everything that I use will be listed down below. And the video is sped up a little bit so that it won't be 2 hours long, but I'm making sure that I blend everything out, and then I added more when it's needed, but I just made sure that everything is nicely blended before adding on any more. You don't want to stack products on top of products if it's not properly blended, excuse me. And I'm just going to take any extra that's on the brush after blending out and add that to my nose. I want less product on my nose as possible because, again, that's where I get the oiliest. And then I'm going to add a few small dots also on top of my forehead, and then blend that out. I'm now going to go in with a setting spray or mist just to help me blend out even more. And with this, I took my brush and then I ended up switching and using the makeup wedge, because I find that when using the makeup wedge, it kind of helped the product melt even more into my skin. Again, this is just my opinion, but I like the way that it made everything come together. And now I'm going to go in with this new concealer that I have. As you can see, this is way too bright. You always want to go 2 shades lighter than your foundation shade. So I am going to go in with another shade after this, just so that it's not too bright. But I like to do like a little bit under my eye. It may look like a lot, but once you blend it out, it is not. And I also added it to my chin, my forehead, and I also kind of, in the center of my nose, and kind of on the parts where I'm going to do my contour. And I'm just going to blend this out with a brush before going in and blending it out with the makeup wedge. I told you before in a different video that I will post in the iCard right now that I liked using a brush to blend it out, but remember I also stated that I could not find this brush again. Well, I guess I did, and now I'm just using that to blend everything out. I just love the way that this brush blends everything out versus using a beauty blender, which helps remove most of that product. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but it honestly didn't look too bad. I could have just used that concealer without going in with the other one, but again, I didn't want it to be too bright under there. So I am going to go in, like I stated before, with another shade. And now I'm just making sure that everything is blended out and blending together before going in with the other shade. And the other shade that I'm using is the one that I normally would use that's closer to my skin tone, and I'm just adding it a little bit under. Not everywhere that I added that other one, because I don't want it to be too dark, but I also don't want it to be too light. That is optional. And I'm just going to blend it out just a little bit, and you can see I still have a little bit of brightness under my eyes, but not too much. And then I am going to have to go back in and add a little bit more on the left hand side, because I still can see some of that brightness. Using that same brush, I'm going to add on a little bit of the Becca Hydrating Setting Powder just to help set under those eyes so I don't start creasing. And I'm also going to do this step everywhere that I place that concealer before going in with my makeup wedge. I normally don't bake, but today I decided to. Now I'm placing the setting powder underneath to catch any fallout from the eyeshadows. I'm just showing you another way to do it. I normally do my eyelids or eyeshadows before foundation, but like I said, I'm just showing you another way that you can do it. If you have dry skin, you probably shouldn't do this. I have dry skin, but again, this is optional. I'm also going to do the reverse contouring. This is also another optional step. You don't have to do this, and sometimes this could take place so you don't have to do any bronzer, but I am going to do use the bronzer as contour, excuse me, later on in the video. I'm adding a little bit of powder to my eyelids just to set the concealer into place and make sure that I'm working on a smooth surface. The eyeshadow palette I'm going to be using today is the Zoeva Cocoa Blend, and this is my first time using this palette. I love these colors. So let's get started. For this transitional color, I decided to go with the substitute for Love, but I realized it was not showing as good as I wanted it to. So I switched to my Huda Beauty Topaz Obsession palette, and I'm using the third shade, which is like an orange color, as a transitional color instead. And as I always say, you want to make sure you blend everything out before moving on to any other colors. I'm going in with a little black from my Jane Iredale palette, and I'm going to use this as a guide, and you will see later on what I mean. But always make sure that you blend. And I know it may seem like I'm using the same brush, but it's not. I'm switching back and forth between the brushes just to make sure that everything is evenly blended together so I can have a smooth transition. And right here, I'm just going to do a simple cut crease. I'm not going to go how I normally do with a very crisp line, but I'm going to get it crisp enough. I'm going in with another concealer because I feel like the first one was a little too sheer for this look, and I felt like it wasn't going to really show exactly how I wanted to show. But you don't have to use 2, you can use 1. And now I'm just blending it out a little bit, and whatever powder is left on this wedge is the amount of powder that I'm going to use to set it in place. And for my second color from the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette, I'm going to be using Subtle Blend. And I chose this color because it's like a brownish goldish color. And I feel like it brings those other 2 colors together. And it's also going to bring my next shade together as well. The third shade that I'm going to be using from that same palette is called Pure Gonache. I'm making sure that I press where I want that color to go, and then I'm going to switch the brush and I'm going to blend those 2 colors together so again it flows seamlessly. Now I'm going to use some gel liner to basically make my wing, and then I'm going to connect that together and then fill in where I need to fill. But I ended up changing the brush because this brush had a few of the hairs kind of sticking out, and it was making the liner not as straight as I needed it to be. Okay, so with this, again, like I said, I started off by making my wing, and I'm just seeing where I want it to stop at, and then I'm going to connect the top part at the point using that black shadow that I used at the beginning as my guide, like I stated, and then I'm going to fill it in. Now I'm just going to take this brush to smudge it out a bit, and I did go back in that Jane Iredale palette just so I can use that color to kind of fill it in a little bit more. And I'm going to switch back and forth between both of those colors, the gel black eyeliner as well as the black from the Jane Iredale. feel like I went overboard on the black a little bit, so I did dip my hand back in the Zoeva palette. Hopefully I'm saying the name right. And this is the Settle Blend, just to make sure again that those colors are evenly blended. And I'm just going to repeat those same steps on the opposite side. And I do apologize if you're not able to see. I didn't notice that I had the mirror in the way until a few moments later. So I do apologize for that. And now I'm just dusting away that setting powder. Again, the video is sped up at this moment because I feel like it's just dusting away the powder. I'm not really doing nothing too major. And I almost forgot to go in with the bronzer to basically contour, and that's what you see me doing now. And then I'm going to blend it out. At this point, I took a pressed powder that's the same shade as my skin tone to dust away any powder that is left over, as well as to set everything into place. To give me more of a smoky effect, I am going to add the same colors at the bottom, and as you can see, I messed up a little bit. I was trying to blend it out a little bit with my finger so I didn't have to go in with concealer, but I decided to grab a Q-tip instead to fix it, but not rub it too hard that it wipes away anything. So as I'm wiping this away, it literally flies out my hand. I had to slow it down so y'all can see how it looked in slow motion. I was not expecting it at all. And I decided to go in with that copper shade in the Topaz Obsession palette. This is the second shade at the top, to go in the center part of it, just to really bring everything even more together. And I think it helped tremendously. I'm going in with a little bit of highlight to put underneath my brows, and I'm going to use my finger just to blend that out a little bit so that it don't take away from the eyeshadow. I also put that same color in my inner tear ducts. I'm also using it down the center of my nose, which is the bridge, and at the point. And then on my Cupid's bow, I am going to use something different for my cheekbones. Even though I did finish my eyeliner with the gel liner, I'm going in with a liquid eyeliner just to make sure that everything is nice and crisp. I'm just adding on some mascara to my top and bottom lashes. If you want your lashes to appear longer but you don't want to add on any extensions, what you can do is add some lash primer and then go behind that with your regular mascara, and it will help. Now I'm just taking the NYX Born to Glow Illuminator, and as you can see, I went a little overboard, but I'm going to blend it out 100% before going in with anything else. And now I'm just spraying my face just to make sure that I'm setting everything into place. Using my hands to fan everything dry. And now I'm going in with a brown lip liner. And I was having trouble with this lip liner. I'm not really sure where I got this lip liner from, but I had it for a while, so I said, why not put it to use? Now I'm going to add the NYX Lip Lingerie to the center and pucker my lips together. And I'm going to take my fingertip and I'm going to kind of blend that lip liner out just a little bit. And then I'm going to go back in with the Lip Lingerie once again. And then I'm going to pucker my lips together and see how I like it. And I don't know why I licked my lips, but okay. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of gloss on top of it to pull everything together. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with a friend. And again, everything that I use will be listed in the description box down below. Thanks. Have a great day.